This is Mark Kemp of LasVegasProbateGuide.com with your 2-minute probate tip. The third who of probate is the most exciting. It answers the question of who gets the money. Now, if you have a valid last will and testament, then the person who receives the money are the heirs named inside the will. And we may call them devisees, legatees, or just beneficiaries. But the people who are named in the will get the money at the end of probate after all creditors are paid. Of course, here in Las Vegas, the last few years, we've had more and more estates where the creditors get paid first and there's very little left for the heirs at the end. For somebody who dies without a will, we have a state statute that defines who gets the money. And it can get a little bit complicated because in Nevada we have the community property system. So if we have community property, which is property acquired by a decedent and the spouse during marriage, then when one spouse dies, if there is no will, all of the community property goes to the surviving spouse. If there is separate property, that's property that was owned by the deceased spouse prior to marriage, then that property is going to go all to the spouse if there are no children. But if there are children, then the surviving spouse has to share the separate property with the children. And that being whether it's the natural children of both spouses or children from a prior marriage. So we could have a spouse who gets one half of the estate and one half to another child. Or if there's two or more children, the children will share 2/3 of the estate and the spouse will only get 1/3. Again, that's only for the separate property. So that's an important issue. I once had a probate where that's all we fought about was whether or not the property was community property or separate property because we were fighting over whether or not the children would get any piece of the estate.